when we're being expressive, when we're being joyful. That creates a vibration. And that vibration is what we're really expressing. It's the quality of the energy, the enthusiasm or lack of it, the love or lack of it, the anger or lack of it that really has the most impact.
When you show up, who shows up? It doesn't matter what you're thinking, it doesn't matter what you want to say to people. What's going to happen is they're going to feel you. They're going to feel everything that you've brought into that moment. And we can call that your vibration. If that vibration has lack, if it has anger, if it has resentment, if it has shame, if it has emotions, and all emotions are really just vibrations. If it has emotions that are not vibrating at the highest place, an expansive place, you will actually push away things that are trying to come to you. You will actually attract things that are vibrating with those emotions of contracted feelings.
You need to look in the mirror. You need to look inside your own being to discover where you're off in your vibe, where your anger is, or where your despair is, or where your cynicism lies, or where your resignation is. And until you can begin to come to terms with your own being, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to return that vibration to the world.
There's a principle in music called sympathetic vibration, so that when I play my drum, another drum is actually vibrating at that same pitch, and it will be played without anyone touching it. When we hear a pulse, we can't help but join it, because really the principle is that life wants to harmonize. Every beat, every note we make is felt somewhere.
We're simply a vibration held together into this form, and we're able to express ourselves and to experience consciousness, to experience this tactile world, to eat, to love, to laugh, to raise families, to create grand edifices, to have art, to music. It's extraordinary.
The whole world is vibration. Everything is vibration. And when a happy and peaceful, calm vibration emits from us, it draws similar situations around us. When we connect with the universal presence, you know, then our life becomes effortless expression of joy.
Your life is just a mirror. So when you put your attention on those things that you're passionate about, and then when you start to align with those things, what you find is that the doors start to open, the people, the places, or things start to show up. And you become what I call a passionate magnet. It's just synchronicity just starts to align itself.
We vibrate things into our life. We vibrate things out. We vibrate people in. We vibrate people out. We vibrate opportunities in. So how do we become a positive vibrational being as opposed to just a positive thinker? It means cleaning out our vibration of everything that is not serving us, raising our vibration with love, with all the things that we know expand us and make us feel that we're vibrating at a higher frequency.
You can either match fear out in the world and lower your frequency, or you can stay in touch with your own kind of preferred state where you feel good and happy and stay in that It's like strike your tuning fork and, you know, and once you choose your tone, let's call it, your life starts to be created out of that tone. If you choose a low one, you get a low-level life with a lot of snags and problems. If you raise up and move into the higher frequencies, you get a new understanding of reality where everything's much more unified.
Now that I was aware that this infinity feedback loop was always happening, I didn't understand how the circumstances of my life that I perceived to be the greatest challenges or the biggest obstacles were actually for my own good. If I was creating my own reality, why did I keep creating things I didn't want? If the feedback loop is feeding me pain and adversity, then what am I feeding into it?
Some of you are going through some very dark times. You don't see a way out. Your back is against the proverbial wall. You're at your wit's end. You don't know what to do. Some of you are in situations that are chronic. You've been in this tough place for so long that you think it's your lot in life.
One of the greatest challenges I experienced was the death of my mother. There's no doubt about that. Is there really a gift in this? Is there really a blessing in my mom passing? Can I find where she is now? Because really, and we know that she's in the heart. I knew she was in my heart. But to go to that place, to actually find her there, as opposed to looking for her on the outside, that was one of the greatest challenges I ever had in my life. Because energy or matter isn't created or destroyed. All of us are energy. We know that we're existing now, right here in this moment. This experience is a gift. And this is what exists right now. And my mother's here, meaning she's here in this moment, she's present, because everything's present in every moment. So the greatest gift I got out of it was getting past the illusion that there's a death and a life that are separate.
Loss is the most difficult thing to go through. I lost someone very important to me. He was my best friend. Life is good, it's beautiful, but you have to know how to live. One thing I could learn about this, that I'm going to live my life and enjoy each moment. We don't know where we are going to leave this place. You don't know. We have to love. We have to forgive. We have to be patient. We have to be connected, to try to be a good person.
My grandfather, Tata. Well, Tata means grandfather in Polish. I always thought Tata was his real name until I was old enough to know that Itchik was actually his name. My grandfather had recently undergone a triple bypass at the age of 84, and things didn't go well, and he was going to die soon. And I walked into the room, and I saw my grandfather there, and he looked at me, and he smiled. And in that moment, I understood that this man, this extraordinary man, was never going to leave that room, was never going to leave that bed. I said, look, you know, I know you're dying. And he goes, yeah. And what is the one thing you want me to know, that you want me to tell my grandchildren? And he said, wow. He goes, well, I'll tell you a story. Back in World War II, I was a young soldier, and I had your grandmother, Dora, who you never met, and she was pregnant with your father. We were walking on foot in the snow, and we got to a field hospital. And in this field hospital, in front of the advancing Nazi army, your grandmother gave birth to your father. And I realized that if we stayed there, we would die. So I stole a Jeep and food, and I drove as far away as I could. And when the Jeep ran out of gas, and when we ran out of food, we walked in the snow. But there came a time when we couldn't walk anymore, when we couldn't take another step. And I'll never forget, I was in a snowstorm, I was carrying Dora on my back, and your infant father in my arms. And I thought that maybe if I just rested for a little while, I could get up and go again. The truth is, I was passing one person after another that had stopped and died in the place they stopped. And I looked down at your infant father, who was dying of pneumonia, by the way. And I looked into his eyes, and I said to him, one day, your son will know no war. But today, you have to do your part. You have to live through the night, and I will keep going. Because I knew if I stopped, I would die, and he wouldn't live, and you wouldn't exist. And the one thing that I am most proud of is that I kept my promise that night to your father. And here you are. And who you are to me is my heart. You know, I left my grandfather that night, and I never saw him again. So many people all over the world have made so many sacrifices, literally have given their life so that their family or this planet could have an opportunity to discover the gifts within themselves and to experience the richness of life. That's what matters. That's what matters.
Just by being willing to look for the gift in a situation, my being changes. And it is our job to identify the goodness that is occurring. It is serving our awakening to the powerful co-creators that we are. Every single thing that is occurring is serving that purpose. That's the only thing that's happening in all of creation.
I recently discovered I had prostate cancer. And it was an initial shock. And I have to tell you, that triggered a series of the most extraordinarily wonderful events and experiences. New friendships, a closeness between myself and my wife of 20 years that just keeps getting better, and we'd often thought it couldn't get any better, but it does. It just has been amazing. But it took looking for the blessing in it. So that's the ultimate accountability, ultimate responsibility. Am I going to look for the goodness in things, or am I going to look for the darkness in things? And that's a choice.
Just the idea of having a great many different experiences in your life. To be able to have those experiences, positive, negative, happy, sad, suffering, celebratory, and to be able to acknowledge that you are experiencing them and that you're grateful for those experiences and learning from them, to see every experience as something that you can value and take with you, that God may be trying to teach you, or also that God wants you to experience as part of the gift that you are as a human being.
I'm going to let the truck behind you back up.
But that's a positive experience too, having that truck backing up behind you, ruining your movie. You know, you can learn from that. You can learn to have a different angle, or...
When something that could be a crisis or a tragedy shows up, instead of it's a problem, what if it's for me? That's the way I find the gift. I ask, what if this is for me? And immediately that shifts my focus from problem to solution and positive possibility and even, oh boy. So simply by saying, what if this is for me? All of a sudden, I've got a better feeling. I don't have this crisis anymore.
I was going to divorce my husband, the father of my child, the man I love and have chosen to spend my life with. And we were really having a hard time. I didn't tell most people how much pain I was in, but I had been dealing and struggling with a back injury that I had had many years ago from a job-related incident. And the more struggle we had in our relationship, the more pain I started to be in physically. But that energy manifested in a very negative way in my body. So for me, it showed up as a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain. It showed up as physical pain. My back ended up going out. I got back surgery. There was all sorts of ways that me not honoring my true voice and my husband not honoring his true voice showed up in our lives. And I think that was one of the biggest life adversities I've ever come up against.
My sister Cheyenne and her husband Sharif had been going through a very difficult time. Their marriage was falling apart. They were deeply in love with each other, but they were not living a life that honored the gifts that they were for each other or for the world.
My husband was struggling finding himself, finding his path, his goal, and I saw his greatness, but I didn't see him accessing it.
I was lost. I'd lost my passion. Wasn't happy with the way I was or what I was doing. I wasn't happy with my marriage. I wasn't happy with my life. And now I didn't know how to get out of it.
They were stuck, blaming each other, not in alignment with the spiritual laws of the universe.
I'd forgotten my childhood dream. I'd let it go. And it was eating away at me. It all stemmed from having fear. I was really afraid. So in essence, I was hiding behind this facade that if I didn't go for my dreams, then I wouldn't fail. So I decided to let it die.
I was surprised to learn that Sharif's dream had always been to come to Hollywood and work in the movie business. He even had a film company set up in Morocco 20 years before we ever met each other. So I did something rather dramatic. I explained to Sharif that I had to hire a new VP for my company, and I have to hire that person today. That was a Thursday. I offered him the job, but I said, if you accept the job, you have to pack your bags. You have to leave your wife and child, move to California on Saturday so that you can be in the business meetings with me on Monday.
I couldn't believe that I was being offered the thing that I was really dreaming about for all of my life. I had a big, steep learning curve. But I was passionate about filmmaking, so the learning actually came really easy. I was finally in alignment with my gift.
I think the thing I want to tell people is there is a thing called transformation. I mean, it literally means to transcend the limitations ordinarily imposed by form. But it's not a light switch. You know, you can become really good at anything that matters to you if you're willing to do the work. Anything.
My sister Cheyenne had always wanted to write books, to be an author. In truth, she'd been writing as long as I could remember.
It's always been my passion. I've loved writing since I was young. And I always wonder deep inside how I get my real feelings out to the world and how do I share them. But I was so afraid to put my voice on paper, to put my words down, and I doubted myself. I doubted who I was, if anyone would care what I had to say. And it always seemed really big for me and too big for me to even accomplish, so why even try?
Forget the word can't and just take a step. It might not even be in the right direction, but you won't know that until you get to that step. And then the next step, and then the next step. Take a step. That's all it is.
And when I sat down to write Discover the Gift, at first I thought, oh no, what am I gonna say? How do I do this? And then I thought, okay, I know the key to writing is just writing, so just write, Cheyenne, write. Once I took that one step, that fear that had been keeping me back for so long was relinquished. And all of a sudden I was at this different place with myself, really living my gift, really being who I am. What happened was that the authentic me showed up, and I'm so grateful.
And so she drove across country and began to write Discover the Gift, the book, and to co-produce the movie with me alongside her husband. Both of them now fully and actively engaged in their gifts.
When I started valuing my own self, my heart, my time, my dream, it was like I came out of the cave and I finally started living in light. Cheyenne and I just started having another level of relationship. It was amazing.
Getting space and us getting to be with ourselves, choosing ourselves, and then having the space to choose each other saved our marriage. And when I look back now, I giggle because I think, wow, that was so hard, but yet it was so easy.
The process isn't strategy or fighting or forcing or controlling or trying harder. The process is relaxing into it, going inside and following that inner direction. Because what I think I want out there may not be for my highest good. And I've got to get really good at listening to this inner direction, even when it takes me someplace that isn't what I think I want. I need to surrender to that. I need to recognize what shows up there. I need to cooperate with it, and I need to let go of the other and see if I can flow with this. And when I do, it's amazingly easy. When I don't, it's hard.
When I was 19, I was abducted and beaten and repeatedly raped. And the most unusual thing happened in the midst of that experience. I found this feeling of safety emerging. The logic seems crazy, but my thought was, if I could live through this, I could live through anything. I didn't know if they were gonna let me live or if they would kill me. And when I realized that, I had this profound revelation. Not like some lofty concept, but as an actual experience. I got that who I am is not my body. Even if I didn't make it out of there, I would make it out of there. And in that moment, this previously unthinkable act turned into this gift that I held in my heart. Life recontextualizes itself. In the moment I named that as a gift, my past was different, and the future truly became a space where anything was possible. And forever since, I've felt safe.
We have a new kind of evolution. It's called conscious and participatory, which means right here and right now, at this second, beginning with our own life, we can change, we can shift, we can grow and become who we're meant to be. Nothing can determine our growth and unfoldment and happiness except for ourselves.
Commitment for a better society should rise within each one of us. Technology which has made the globe into a village. And it is a spirituality which is going to make it into a family.
It can't just be a few political spokespeople saying it. It has to be filmmakers saying it. It has to be scientists saying it. It has to be corporate execs saying it. It has to be parents saying it. It has to be whatever you do, that you are so passionate about the possibility of what could be, that you get that life is a gift, and you get that it's not guaranteed.
It just takes one person's awakening to elevate the consciousness of a family. It just takes one person's awakening to elevate the consciousness of a company or of a community. And then it has that ripple effect.
The future, good or bad, entirely depend on our own present behavior, our present action.
You can't, in a way, promote states of being that you yourself don't understand. Now, you can't promote world peace if you are angry. As Gandhi said, you have to be the change. It begins with your own transformation.
I was beginning to find my balance with the spiritual laws of the universe. They were like different colors of the rainbow, each beautiful by itself. But joined together, they shine as a single white light, illuminating everything and everyone. I feel the laws flowing through me like a river now, with a strong but steady current, washing the resistance to my own existence away.
It's like the rolling stones in the water. And water flows, it doesn't stop because there is a stone, it flows over it. And in due course, it even shapes the stone itself. Just needs a little perseverance, patience, and conviction that love wins, and will always win.
I had the unique experience to die at one time. I was in a car accident and pronounced dead. I had the experience of being everything, of experiencing all the important people in my life, whether they were alive or had passed on. And I had time to talk with them and be with them. And it seemed like it was days that I was experiencing. I also experienced being the ocean. I was a drop of the ocean, but then a drop of the ocean is the ocean. And then there was light. And I was part of the light. And everyone that I had talked to and been with during that time was part of the light. And it was beautiful, and it was full of joy, and there was no judgment. All there was love. Beautiful, magnificent, all-encompassing love.
Agape means unconditional love. It's a love that cannot be done with the mind. It's a love that takes us over when our heart is open and we discover there's no boundary between us, that it's all about love and it's all about forgiveness, and that the universe doesn't have 1 ounce of retribution in it. All it has is love. It's just a unified field of love.
Think about it. When you're around someone who's loving, do they have to say anything to you? You just feel their energy. Their goodness just overflows.
There's really only one law, and it's the law of love that makes me one with you, with them, with the people on the other side of the globe, with everyone, everywhere. And when you find love, you found everything.
It's this continual state of being.
So it's about, you know, doing that inner work and then bringing that into your moment-to-moment interactions and connections and into your moment-to-moment life. It's about being the light and bringing that light, reflecting it everywhere you go.
You know, there's nothing loving won't heal. Nothing. Nothing. Now, I forget that sometimes, but I never forget that I've gotten it. And I know I can return there. And I know that when I do, my life is beautiful. And the results I produce are positive. And it kind of spills over, and someone else picks it up and passes it on. And, you know, it just multiplies that way.
As long as I'm in a state of love, miracles will happen here. And when you know that only love is real, it changes everything.
Love is the basic principle of how everything works. You don't cause pain, you don't do violence to anything in any way, even in the subtlest way.